بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداه إلى يوم الدين. We are really sorry that we have to put you out and bring you back again. The problem is just the system. I know when I pass the co-host or the host to somebody else and I take it back, I will not be in control of all of the things. And there will be this chime of entry annoying me because it's going to be reflecting as well in the recording. So the topic at hand is Al-Khul', and it's a very important topic. We will see that we are not really familiarized properly with this Al-Khul'. I would have liked the audience would be more than that. Inshallah, we'll have more, bidhnillah, because as I said, a very important topic. So we go to Ismail to read for me. You're going to have a lot of notes as well. جزاكم الله خيرا. تفضل يا إسماعيل.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه.
Just alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Simple.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله.
Go ahead. Al-Khul'.
Today, on the 18th of Shawwal in the year 1441, corresponding to the 10th of June in the year 2020, we are in the concise presentation of the Fiqh in the chapter of marriage in the subchapter of Al-Khul' on page 433. Definition of Al-Khul'. Khul' comes from the word implying removing one's garment. Recall that the wife is a garment for the man and vice versa, as Allah has said, the translation of which is, they are a body cover for you and you are the same for them. The jurists have defined it as a man separates from his wife in exchange for something that he takes from her. It is also sometimes referred to as ransoming and freeing.
Okay. So, alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Basically, al-khul' from the word khala'a. Khala'a in Arabic means to take off. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the marriage as He's saying, Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun. You as males, you are a garment for them, close garment, and they are as well close garment for you. So you and the spouse, basically one person in a garment. Whether you are the garment for her or she is the garment for you, it's a close garment. So when this khul' takes place, is that means she is asking for husband for divorce to take off her garment. She wants to take off the garment. So that's the word khul' comes from the word khala'a. Khala'a means to take off your clothes. The second meaning, which is called iftida', which is being used now a lot in the Islamic courts, al-khul', which is al-iftida'. Al-iftida' means to ransom. So the wife, she's asking the husband for the divorce, and she's saying, okay, this is such and such money from the dowry that you paid me, or this is something which is the whole of the dowry, but please take it and accept to divorce me. So I am ransoming myself from you. Because as well, the wife, she's considered to be like, it is not a slave, like a slave in the husband. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said in the hadith, which is sahih, so they want to complain from the sisters now, إِنَّهُنَّ عَوَانٌ عِنْدَكُمْ. For verily, Prophet ﷺ, he said, that the women, you have to be careful with them, you have to feel larger with regard to them because they are awan. Awan means like a slave. She's not a slave, but she's like a slave, meaning she looks up to you as you are her master. Because you are her master, you have to fear Allah regarding her. She is the weaker element, you are the stronger element. Because of this, you have to take care of her. Allah made you as a female and a male. The male is the master. So the female, she's not a master, it means that she's a slave, but she's not the slave, which is in the mind of the people that, yeah, slave, that means I could ride on her, I could really whip her and lash her. Okay. Because of this, she's ransoming herself to free herself. Take this money and give me the divorce. Because the divorce is in the hands of the man. It's not in the hands of the woman. Right. So this is the word khul' comes from. Now, we're going to talk about a number of issues. First of all, the legality and the legislation of this khul'. Here, I'm going to just go quickly. So maybe you could follow up with me, Ismail. Maybe I'm not going to make it translate everything. That is when we have the dispute has gone to such an extent that it is not possible now to arbitrate between the two. And this woman, she has decided that it is no way to go ahead. So she is not here a slave, that is, she cannot take her slavery away from her. So she's a slave at the same time, but she's not a slave as in that you're going to strip her out of her decision. Yes, the divorce in your hand, but she's entitled to ask for the divorce. As long as she knows that the Prophet of Allah, he said that the ones who ask for a divorce, yet she hasn't got a proper reason, she's a hypocrite. That's a warning for her. Al-mukhtali'at hunna al-munafiqat. Hunna al-munafiqat. That means they are hypocrites. Why? Because if they ask for divorce without a reason. Why Allah gave the divorce in the hands of the man? Because the man is more of control. Usually it is the case to his emotion. The woman, she's emotional. And when we say emotional and non-emotional, we're not really blaming one of the two, but Allah created us like this. Woman is emotional. That's why she's got more emotion. That's why the custody of the child goes to her. Because the man, he has got no mercy to the child as much as she has to the child. And because of the emotion that affects her decision, Allah gave that to the non-emotional, the decision of the talaq. Because we said that if the talaq was in the hands of the woman, she might divorce her husband 5 times a day, just like she prays 5 times a day, and return him 5 times back again as well. Divorce in the afternoon, she's happy with him, back. Asr, I'm not happy, divorce. That's why the male is being in control of that. But when this ilaqa, this relationship gets to such an extent that the woman, she had, we tried everything, I want to ask for a divorce. If you want to continue, I don't want to continue. He has got no right to say, no, I'm not going to be accepting this. If she doesn't accept this, she could raise her matter to the judge, and the judge will see, and he will grant her straight away. She could just simply say, I hate him. I don't like him. But if it's to do with he's not spending a lot of money onto the house, he's not giving me the right of dressing properly, that we arbitration here. So not simply we're going to listen to the wife, okay, divorce. We're going to arbitrate until we're not exhaust all means of making this life, this ship to sail. Because remember, there could be children in the middle. This is not just, it's a strong bond. Mithaq ghalid, Allah says. Mithaq ghalid means a very strong bond. It's not like easy, like, that's it, girlfriend, boyfriend. No, it's not. So now coming back to the issue. So we say that this woman, she had basically reached a decision that she can't bear to stay with this man. Even this man could be very good. Like we have this hadith, Abdullah ibn Abbas narrates for us. Please read that hadith, ya Ismail, where a woman, she came, that is the wife of Thabit ibn Qais. After the
Ibn Abbas narrated that the wife of Thabit ibn Qais ibn Shammas came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, O Messenger of Allah, I have no complaint against Thabit with respect to his religion or his character, but I fear being ungrateful. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, will you return to him his garden? She said, yes. She returned it to him, and he ordered him to separate from her.
Right. So here, the woman, she came to the Prophet ﷺ. She said, I'm not complaining regarding my husband, Messenger of Allah, Thabit ibn Qais, in terms of his deen and in terms of his manners. In his manners and his deen, 100%. But it doesn't mean that I have to love him. She said, إِلَّا إِنْ أَنِّي أَخَافُ الْكُفْرِ. We learn a lot from this. I hate to be a kafir. Kufr is a kufr, disbelief. What does that mean here? The kufr here, alif lam, it means that is, if I'm not good enough for him, not fulfilling my obligation and giving him his rights, then this is called al-kufr, meaning disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the wife, she has to fulfill the obligations of her husband. He's got rights. So, by the way, we learn a lot from this word, because this word refutes the argument of those scholars who say that the Prophet ﷺ, when he talked about the person who abandons the prayer out of laziness, they say he's a kafir. They use one of their proofs, the hadith of the Prophet of Allah, al-ahd, الذي بيننا وبينهم الصلاة. So the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned and also the companions, they don't see anything that will take a person outside the Islam except for as-salah. They said the word al-kufr, alif lam here, al-kufr, it means the kufr, which is outside. Whereas we see here this word al-kufr mentioned for other than the one takes the person outside the fold of Islam. A very good, strong argument here to say to them that is not strong proof of yours. That when is al-kufr is mentioned, alif lam, that means al, that is al-ahdiyya, that is the istighraq, that is this alif lam, it means the kufr, that is outside the fold of Islam. Because it's being used by here, this woman, not to talk about her husband, that he's outside the fold of Islam. On the contrary, she said, he is a Muslim and good character, good iman, good deen, mashallah. But I hate the kufr, that is to be a person disobedient, not giving and fulfilling the rights of my husband, my obligations, which is obligations onto me towards him. I'm scared, so I want to divorce. So the Prophet of Allah, he said, would you to send back onto him his orchard? Hadiqa, that means like a mahr. Maybe he gave a land as to be a dowry. So straight away the Prophet of Allah, would you ransom yourself by giving him what he has given you, his hadiqa? She said, yes, Messenger of Allah. So she gave that back to him, and he said to the man, divorce her. وَأَمَرَهُ, he commanded her, divorce her. You have no right to say, well, the divorce is in my hand, I'm not going to be giving it to her, I want more money, for example. No. So that's what the scholar, they said, that first of all, they said that the khul has to be with ransoming. Has to be that the wife, she offers. So she offers something to the husband to return it, to give her the divorce. That's number one. Number two is cannot be more than the mahr, the dowry. So if the dowry was at the beginning that you gave her, for example, £100, don't ask her for more than £100. Can the husband waive out, I don't want anything. You ask me for divorce, for the khul', take it. Okay, take it. I don't, is that acceptable? Some of the scholars said no, it has to be that she has to pay something. But the correct opinion, Sheikh al-Islam to me, he said, you know, even though that he waived it out, she's already ransomed herself by not imposing upon him to spend expenditure on her. So once she said, give me the divorce, I will give up all this expense, because you know it is a talaq, as we said, which is reversible, revocable, that which has 3 menses, 3 cycles. She's still his wife, and he still has to pay on to her. She's called the iddah here. Okay, so she's given up this. I don't want this. I don't want revocable. This is irrevocable. That means she cannot go back to him unless it's a new marriage. So this is, I want to end up the relationship. So she's already given up the expenditure. She's saying, just give me my divorce. But some of the scholars said, no, it has to be with money. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, he said, as little as a date. So just bring a date, take this date, and give me the divorce. As long as there is something like to ransom himself with, even though the husband is willing to waive that out. I don't want anything. You want a divorce? Take it. So basically, the khul' is a divorce, but is on the command of the wife. On the command of the wife. Okay. Now, this khul', as we're going to see later on, is not from the divorces of the 3. The divorce is 2, and the third one, if it takes place, the wife, she cannot go back to her husband until she marries somebody else. And that person has to either die or divorce her, then she could go back to the first husband. But in this case, when she asks for the divorce, this is called khul', and it will not be counted of 1, 2, 3. You could have hundreds of khul'. So she could khul', and that's how she's not husband and wife. You want to go back again? They have to go a new marriage, new contract, 2 witnesses, a walima, all of that. So they made another khul', she asked for divorce. So you want to go back again? A new walima, a new witnesses, and the judge comes in, and all of that. Okay, so all of these, that's stipulated for the new marriage. Okay, so what about if there is a husband and a wife? They have already divorced themselves twice. So the husband divorced his wife once, he turned her back, he divorced her the second time, got her back. Now, if he divorces her, let's say it's reached as well another, between them, basically they want to divorce again. So he wants to divorce her now. So if he divorces the third time, she cannot go back to her husband until she marries somebody else. Can she, for example, and they both together agree, let's make khul', because if the divorce is not going to be impossible, it's haram. The khul', it has to be that this is the wife she's asking. But if the husband wants to divorce, he cannot just say to his wife, you asked me for the divorce, so you could make it khul', and it will not be counted out of the three. And I'm telling you, this is the hidden things that is taking place, which I myself experienced as well with some of the brothers. So we say that if it was genuine request of the wife to ask for the khul' from the husband, then it's a khul'. But if it was just a mutual agreement, I will divorce you, but I want you to ask me for the divorce, so it can be considered khul', so you will not be counted from the divorce. That's not allowed. So the correct opinion, you could have the khul' without the money as long as the husband had waived it out, but it has to be that the wife, she is the one asking the husband, and the husband is not willing to divorce. But when she asked, yes, you wanted, go. So you want the divorce, go. Right. Let's go now to the warning of this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says regarding this also the ayah, وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَكُمْ أَن تَأْخُذُوا مِمَّا آتَيْتُمُوهُنَّ شَيْئًا إِلَّا أَن يَخَافَا أَلَّا يُقِيمَا حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا يُقِيمَا حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا فِيمَا افْتَدَتْ بِهِ. The translation of which, please, Surah Al-Baqarah.
And it is not lawful for you men to take back from your wives any of your dower which you have given them, except when both parties fear that they would be unable to keep the limits ordained by Allah. Then, if you fear that they would not be able to keep the limits ordained by Allah, then there is no sin on either of them if she gives back the dower or a part of it for her separation.
Okay, so the dower or part of it for separation. No problem to give that back to ransom herself. Okay, the warning, please. Thawban, he says.
Thawban narrated that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, for any woman who asks her husband for divorce without anything wrong being done, the scent of paradise will be forbidden for her.
Allahu Akbar. That's a big warning. So it's a major sin to ask your husband for a divorce and you have no reason. And also he said,
he also narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, those women who seek to pay for a divorce from their husbands are hypocrites.
Right, so they are hypocrites. Now, also at the same time, there's a warning for the men to tighten the screw onto the wife in order to push her to ask him for the divorce. He could have money from her. That's haram as well. So let's read.
If the husband dislikes the wife and turns away from her for any reason, he should then separate from her in the proper way that Allah has ordered. It is not permissible for him to retain her and harm her until she finally offers to pay something to free herself.
Okay.
Allah.
Here, this is a very important issue because it takes place, and sometimes the marriage conduct adds to this fuel. Add fuel to this fire, I should say. I'll give you a scenario. Let's say that the marriage takes place like in our countries. When there's a dowry, there's muqaddam and muakhar, something which is that they give straight away, and the dowry, some of it is to be kept later on. What is kept later on is usually it is the case that it is just to boast about. Usually the wife, she will not ask for it unless there is a divorce or there is a death. So these people, because they want to boast about their marriage, they make, for example, the marriage of the dowry is 1 dinar, 1 pound. And I always say that if you have a marriage of 1 pound, be careful, like you don't go for it. Because what comes behind, which you don't know, is disaster. And then they say that the second mahar, which is, they would say, let's say, 50,000 pounds. They put that in the piece of paper, and they know that that 50,000 are going to be paid anyway. But they wanted to boast. So this is 50,000, you know, just boasting, but it's actually written. So now, if the husband, he, you know, found that the wife, he cannot go along with her. He knows if he wants to divorce her, they will ask him for 50,000. said, okay, I'm going to really make her life hell. So you'll tighten the screw on her, that means it's really harsh onto her, until she will not just, drop the 50,000. She will pay another, maybe 5,000. Please set me free. See, these things add up to the 5. She should not. So always go with the sunnah, ikhwani. The best of the mahar is the good mahar, low mahar, not the big mahar. Big mahars are not correct. The general mahar, proper mahar, easy, mashallah. Not really the one you want to boast. But if, for example, the wife is okay, but you wanted to divorce her, you are not allowed to make it hard on her so that she could give up the mahar that you've given her. A'udhu billah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, that is in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 231, وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ فَبَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ سَرِّحُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ وَلَا تُمْسِكُوهُنَّ ضِرَارًا لِتَعْتَدُوا وَمَن يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ وَلَا تَتَّخِذُوا آيَاتِ اللَّهِ هُزُوًا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم وما أنزل عليكم من الكتاب والحكمة يعظكم به واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بكل شيء عليم. Translation of which?
And when you have divorced women and they have fulfilled the term of their prescribed period, either take them back on reasonable basis or set them free on a reasonable basis. But do not take them back to hurt them. And whoever does that, then he has wronged himself. And treat not the laws of Allah as jest, but remember Allah's favors on you, and that which He has sent down to you of the book and the wisdom whereby He instructs you, and fear Allah, and know that Allah is all aware of everything.
Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said in Surah An-Nisa, verse number 19, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا يَحِلُّ لَكُمْ أَن تَرِثُوا النِّسَاءَ كَرْهًا وَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنَّ لِتَذْهَبُوا بِبَعْضِ مَا آتَيْتُمُوهُنَّ إِلَّا يَأْتِينَ بِفَاحِشَةٍ مُبَيِّنَةٍ وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ فإن كرهتموهن فعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا ويجعل الله فيه خيرا كثيرا. Translation of which?
O you who believe, you are forbidden to inherit women against their will, and you should not treat them with harshness, that you may take away part of the dawah you have given them.
That's the quotation here. You can't really basically to push them and make it harsh onto them so that you could take part of the dowry back onto you. Again, as well, except
unless they commit open illegal sexual intercourse and live with them honorably. If you dislike them, it may be that you dislike a thing and Allah brings through it a great deal of good.
So it means you are allowed to be harsh and tighten the screw on them to make them to ransom them in the case that they are badly mannered. So there is an excuse here. So if, for example, they are badly mannered and you want to divorce them, but you pay the dowry and you want them to pay as part of that dowry or all of it. So no problem to make their life to be tight on them and harsh to them so that they start asking you for the divorce and pay you money. So we say that it is allowed to, what should I say? It is not allowed to be harsh onto the wife to make it a ransom from you unless that there is a reason. For example, she is badly mannered. She's badly mannered. طيب. And by the way, al-khul' is with the conduct, with the acceptance of both. So if she had asked for a divorce from the husband, she said, I'll give you this, please divorce me, and he accepted, khul' will take place. But she cannot say that, I've given you the money, whether you like it or not, I'm going to take my divorce. He has to divorce. Now, she cannot stake that I've given you, I don't want you, this is the money, whether you like it, I'm going to go. You can't leave. But you could raise the matter to the judge, and the judge here, he will be able, so the talaq has to be from the husband, it's to be accepted. So he will be, the judge, the one who will overrule. He will bypass his decision. But it will take time. It's not easy. So it will be like a body. It's not like an imam of a masjid. An imam of a masjid should fear Allah like that, unless he's got authority from the community. You can't just make khula, make it easy, because as I said, khula has to be taken in the right conduct. So they come to us, the person who is the head of the community. They come to him and present the problem. I don't want him. Okay, what's the reason? I hate him. Oh, it's nothing to do with paying the money for the house and the utilities. No, I don't like him. He's good, but I don't like him. Khalas. Okay, right? Husband, give her the divorce. How much you want to give him back? Part of his dowry, all of his dowry. Okay, except husband. He doesn't have to have a judge. If they're in agreement, they'll do it together. But this is good to document things better. Documentation. So he said no. Why no? Well, I have paid this to her and I have paid this and I've given her this and I've given her that. I said, brother, the gift you cannot take back. Gift is not allowed. Gift is for her. Khalas. I'm not. No. Then the judge will bypass and he will take a committee and he will make it sure that this will end and cease the relationship. Right. Let's go now to, he says, al-khal'u or al-khul'u faskhun wa laysa talaqa. Al-khul', it is considered to be not a divorce, it's a break or nullificate, not nullificate, a break, a cease to the contract. Can you just tell me the translation of that title, please, after the verse?
Khul' is dissolution of the marriage and not a divorce.
I like the word, dissolution, like dissolving the contract. Now, go ahead.
If the woman frees herself by khul' and separates from her husband, then she is in charge of herself. Her husband has no right to take her back except by her consent.
By consent, that means with a new marriage. New marriage. That means a new marriage, new everything new. Now, go on.
This kind of separation is not a type of divorce, even if it is stated with the same terminology.
That means the husband has to say the word divorce upon her request. Yet it is not considered divorce. Now,
it is dissolution of the marriage contract in the interest of the woman in exchange for some wealth that she gives up. Ibn al-Qayyim stated, from the things that indicate that this is not a divorce is the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, concerning less than 3 divorces after consummation, laid down certain results that are all denied in the case of al-khula'.
He says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he had made things linked to the talaq after consummation, which is not there at the khula'. Number 1.
First, the husband has the right to bring his wife back in the case of divorce.
So in the case of divorce, which is a divorce that is with revocable, reversible, not irrevocable, she's still within the 3 months, she's still his wife. And he is got the right to return her back. That's it, khalas. She's still wife. She hasn't got that. But in the case of the khula', no, she is owning herself. Once you do the khula', you're not entitled, even the iddah, there's a iddah, which is 1 month. During that iddah, she's a stranger. If one of you to die, none of you will inherit one another. Whereas in that revocable, reversible divorce, the first divorce, second divorce, are revocable. That is, there will be cooling off period. She's still your wife within that cooling off period. You're entitled back to return her back without her consent. She's still your wife. Second one.
Second, it is limited to 3 after the last waiting period of which she is not permissible to him, except after she marries and consummates with someone else.
Okay. So the second difference as well, that after 3 divorces, she's not allowed to come back to him unless she marries somebody else. Whereas in the khula', she could have 1 khula', 2 khula', 3 khula', 4 khula', 100 khula', and they could go back to each other with, as I said, her consent, a new marriage, new witnesses, and dowry and all of that. Now, third one.
Third, the waiting period in the case of divorce is 3 periods. It is confirmed by the text of the book and the sunnah, as well as the consensus that one cannot take.
So the third one, that the iddah, the period is 3 months for that revocable, reversible. Whereas in the khula', it is only 1 month. That's the difference. 1 month, 1 cycle. Then it says here, yet it's being confirmed by the text, Quran and Sunnah, and consensus that there is no back onto the raja. So once you make khula', you can't return it back unless there's a new marriage. Go on. And also with the Sunnah,
it is also confirmed by the Sunnah and the statements of the companions that the waiting period is just 1 menses for khula'.
Okay, it's 1 menses for khula'. And also,
it is confirmed by a text that it is permissible after 2 divorces and that the 3rd divorce could occur after it.
Okay, so you could, for example, you had that 2 divorce and a khul'. Still, you could go back. So if I have a khul', it's not going to count from the 3 divorce. I could pretend I'm back with a new marriage. So it is not counted from the 3 divorces. You could have khul' number of times. Now, and this is being shown in the ayah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about, الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان, to the end of the verses. And we come here as well, that the text after the verse, please. The text after the verse.
Even though that may not be specific for the one who was divorced twice, as it covers her as well as others, it is not permissible that the pronoun refers to an antecedent that was not mentioned, and that is left being free of mention. Either it is to be specified by what precedes it, or it will apply to others as well. Then Allah says, the translation of which is, and if he has divorced her the 3rd time, then she is not lawful unto him thereafter, until she has married another husband. This definitely covers anyone who was divorced after she ransomed herself, as well as the one who had been divorced twice, as these 2 have been mentioned as antecedents and must be covered by the text.
Okay.
This is how.
Just before you continue, I know this sounds German to you, German language or Chinese even, difficult. What it means here, in the ayah which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about, he spoke of talaq marratan, the divorce is to be twice. فَإِمْسَاكُ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ. After that you hold or you just leave her, that's it. وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَكُمْ أَن تَأْخُذُوا مِمَّا آتَيْتُمُوهُنَّ شَيْئًا إِلَّا أَن يَخَافَا. So this ayah does not include the khula, basically. So the whole thing is to do the pronoun suffix, which is male pronoun suffix, the masculine and the feminine. That is why this is called German language. But basically says that this talaq 3 is only for talaq. As for the khula' is not included. That's the whole thing. So let's now as well add the following. The khula' basically it has to have the condition that there is nushuz, meaning the woman she cannot bear to live with the husband. So she is fearing to establish the laws of Allah, to be obedient to her husband, because this is part of establishing the law of Allah Azza wa Jal. So that is a condition. So it's not just a khula as, I'm in the mood of asking my husband for a divorce, for a khula. Please, can you give me a khula? It's not allowed like this. So it has to be like the relationship reached to a limit that she cannot go on. Brother, it's beyond fixing. I don't want you. Give me divorce. The khula, as I said, with this a mutual agreement between the 2. If the husband did not agree, so the qadi is allowed to force the husband to pass the divorce onto his wife. And we said it is not permissible for the husband to make it tight upon the wife in order for herself to ask for the khul' and to ransom herself, unless there is a reason which is like she is badly mannered. And also we have a difference between the khul' and the divorce. If you remember with the divorce, we said a bid'ah divorce is that the person who divorces his wife in her menses or during a period which is not a menstruation, but he already intercourse with her. So you cannot divorce in such a period like this because she doesn't know how much the iddah is going to be. So it has to be a divorce, either she's pregnant or a divorce while she is in a pure status where he did not touch her. So if she had a cycle, okay, and finished, and you did not touch her, you could divorce her. But if you touched her, intercourse with her, you cannot divorce her until she has another cycle, and then she will be pure, and then you could divorce her. Okay? And also, you cannot divorce her while she's on her menses. So all of that called talaq bid'i, if you remember. Whereas the khul', it doesn't matter. Because the khul' is 1 month, the iddah. Unless she's pregnant, until she drops her load. She delivers her baby. So the khul', it could be done while she's on her menses or not in menses. It doesn't matter. And that's a very important point to add to your talks there, inshallah. It is, as I said, not allowed for the husband to take more than the dowry. Okay, all the dowry. unless there is a genuine sort of, let's say, a genuine, I would say, loss on the part of the husband. And it happened. These two couples, they have sought divorce and khula through me a long time ago. And I remember just now, well, basically, it just lasted for 2 days. And she's asking for a divorce, and the husband is not willing to give in to her. So she resorted to me. I said, she wants a divorce. She doesn't want him. And what happened? And she said, I'm willing to give him the dowry. He gave me £100 or £50, I can't remember. So I called the husband, and then the husband gave me another story. He said, yeah, Sheikh, I've had to hire a hall, and I had everything, and I have all of this. So, I mean, just giving me £50, what is this? Lots of things have done. It hasn't been lasted 2 days. And there was not even intercourse yet. So then I said, in this case, there's a loss. So I said to the wife, are you willing to pay? So husband, what do you want? He said, at least such and such. So we agreed about £700. I remember a number of £700 because there are lots of things involved here. She lost a lot of money. So are you willing to pay £700 and he will give you the divorce? She said, yes. So we made the khul' because he has more than that dowry, but there is a darar, a loss here. There's some harm went onto the husband. طيب. Is it permissible for the wife to ask for khul' after a divorce which has been finalized? No, because she's not his wife. So if she had finished her iddah, she cannot ask for a khul' because she's not his wife. She's a divorce. But she could ask a khul' through a period of reversible. I'll give you an example. A husband divorced his wife, revocable. So she is in the iddah of the 3 months. 3 months. So she is within the iddah, and he's entitled to return her back whenever, because she's still his wife. Only she will be ceased to be his wife until the iddah is finished. If she was to be pregnant, until she drops her baby, and if she was to be she's menstruating, then until she is finishing the 3 months. So she's still his wife, but she's still within the cooling off period. Can she ask for khul'? Yes, she can. Because she doesn't want to go, she doesn't want it to get back to her. Because she knows that he's entitled now. Her consent is not really, is regardless. You could return her back within this period. But she wants now, khalas. So can a husband give me khul'? Yes, he can give a khul' through that period. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. By this, alhamdulillah, we come to the end of the khul'. We go to something to be added before we go to the iddah. Iddah is, inshallah, we leave it for 2 weeks' time. The things that I want to add, number 1, which is al-fasakh. And before al-fasakh, talaq al-mayyit, the divorce of a person who's about to die. Am I allowed to divorce a person? Is the divorce of a person who is about to die, is it valid? Yes, it is valid as long as he knows what he's saying. As long as he knows what he's saying. Basically, if he knows what he's saying and he's got cancer and he's about to die and he wants to divorce her. So he could divorce, that is, the wife, because maybe he doesn't want her. He doesn't want her to inherit from him because he hates her. Okay, he doesn't want her to be inheriting from him. All right, so he could divorce her. And remember, if he dies within her iddah, she still will inherit him because, as I said, it's still cooling off period. But if it was khul' and she asked for khul', then straight away the marriage will cease once the husband utters the divorce word, and that is, will cease the relationship, and there will be no way for her to inherit from him. طيب. Also, we're going to talk about al-fasakh, the dissolving, the dissolution of the contract. Al-fasakh is basically to invalidate the contract, okay, that takes place between the husband and the wife. And this fasakh, either it will take place because of there is something wrong in the contract, that's number 1, or number 2, because of a specific reason that took place and which will invalidate the contract. I will give you examples so you understand what we're talking about. So the first reason we said that there is something wrong with the contract which will entail the invalidation of this marriage. For example, that he got married to somebody and then later on he found that she was his sister from fostering. Okay? That he found that this wife of his, that both of them somehow they were, drinking milk and suckling milk from one woman. So they both became the son and the daughter of a specific woman. They became brothers and sisters. So she gave milk to both of them. So they became brothers and sisters. Now, straight away, there will be no divorce. No, there will be dissolution. There will be dissolving of the contract, invalidation. Alas, no contract. Straight away, once they find out that there is. Also, for example, let's say that this girl, she was being basically being given the consent to give the marriage, not the wali, let's say somebody else. It's not the wali. It's not the father, it's not the grandfather, it is somebody else who had given the go-ahead for this marriage to take place. And we said the wali is to be the father or the mother. And these two, they got grown up. They were not really grown up, they were really childish, still young. Because the girl, we could really marry her when even she's younger than her puberty. Okay, so if they grow up and they said it's up to them to continue or dissolve or invalidate this contract, and there will be fasakh. Fasakh, that means dissolution of this contract. As for the second reason, which is a reason that comes up, which makes the life is impossible to go, and that will be dissolution. Like, for example, that one of the two partners, husband or wife, he committed apostasy. Straight away, the marriage will be dissoluted or dissolved. That will be invalidated. If one has been committed apostasy, become no Muslim. So that's a reason, that's I would say an example of this, okay? Also, let's say that these two couples were married un-Islamically. They were Christian, okay? One of them embraced Islam. Okay, one of them embraced Islam. And the other one did not refuse. Straight away, there will be dissolution of the contract, dissolving of the contract. Okay? Unless she is Christian. If she's Christian or Jew, Ahl Kitab is allowed. But if she is mushrika, not Christian or Jew, like she is Hindu, agnostic, atheist, fire worshipper, whatever, it's not Christian or Jew, then this marriage will be dissolved. Right. This dissolution that takes place between the two, it is not the same as it takes place with the divorce. For verily, the divorce we said is either divorce which is revocable or divorce which is not revocable. Okay? So al-fasakh is different. The fasakh is when it becomes, for example, because of the second reason, that is that something there happened, okay? Or it's because of there is a reason that there's something in the contract which was not correct. For this marriage will be dissolved instantly. There will be no iddah. So there will be no instantly. That will be okay. So that is why it is different from the divorce. Also, from another angle, we find the difference between the fasakh, which is the dissolving of the contract, and the divorce, is that the divorce will deduct from the number of count of divorces. So when the person divorces, the man divorces his wife, a revocable divorce, then he got back to her, okay, and she's in her iddah, and then after that, he had also basically, or he had later on, after her iddah is finished, he had got married to her again. This divorce is counted, okay? And then he has got only 2 divorces after this. Otherwise, she can't marry back to him unless she marries somebody else. But as for the dissolving, like let's say, for example, this husband committed apostasy, or the wife, she committed apostasy, okay? And this dissolved, and then they gone back to the Islam. One of them came back to the deen, and they returned back to the Islam, okay? So they want to get married. This will not be counted as one divorce. It will be a new marriage. So all of that dissolving will not be counted from that divorce. So if one of the partners had committed apostasy, we said dissolving will be take on dissolution of this marriage. If she come back to the Islam, okay, and they wanted to go back to marry each other, we don't say that you already had a divorce before. No, you are a freely fresh marriage. It's different from the divorce. And that is called al-fasakh, wallahu ta'ala a'lam, by which now we come to the questions and answers. We've got 25 minutes, bismillah. So I think you have briefed them before. I was not really listening, by the way. Did you brief them that today's Aylesbury, yes?
Bilal did.
Yes. Jazakallahu khairan. So we go ahead, inshallah, with the questions. With Aylesbury, please put your hands up. You got the priority to ask. Abu Tayyib, please go ahead. Hang on a second. Let me give you the authority to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Abu Tayyib.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Sheikh, does the khul' require a third party to mediate and conduct it, or can it be done between husband and wife in the privacy of their home?
Could be done by the husband and the wife. She's asking and she's offering and he's accepting. But to document this is good. So we always say, come to the masjid to have witnesses, because you don't know what the husband is going to do or the wife, what she's going to claim. No. It's good to document it. But if they do it, khalas, it's separate. Khul'. No.
Okay, sister from Aylesbury is asking, is the divorce given while a woman is on her menses valid, as she is confused by this issue?
No, we say that the difference among the scholars regarding that, is the divorce when she's in her menses valid or not? We said it is bid'i, but does it count? Yes, it counts. There's a difference among the scholars, counts or doesn't, but it does count. So what happens now? Abdullah ibn Umar, he divorced his wife and she was in her menses. So her father went to the Prophet and asked about this. He said, طلقها لغير سنة فأمره أن يرجعها. He said, he did not divorce her correctly. Let him go back to her. So he has to go back to her within her iddah period, and then let him hold her for her menses to come, and then the second menses. So because he touched in the menses, so all that after a month, he can't divorce her yet. The second menses comes in, and then after that, as long as he did not touch her, after the second menses, then he could divorce her or not to divorce her. Now, did that divorce of the first one be counted or not? Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, it had been counted upon me one. So if you divorced her in the iddah, the husband is a loser. He has to bring her back. So let's say he had divorced her now, okay, once. So if he has to return her back, if he's going to give another divorce, he doesn't want to divorce her, then he will be counted as a second. The problem is already has done it twice. So if he's done it twice, okay, so and that second one was onto the menses, so he has to return her back. Now, if he's going to go ahead after a month and after she's clean to go to make the divorce, to be the third time, and it will be a problem. She can't go back to him unless she marries somebody else, a marriage, a proper marriage, not with the agreement to go back to her first husband until he dies or she divorced with him, and then she go back to the first husband. Now, Muslima sister, Fadl 11. You could unmute yourself, sister. Unmute yourself. You have to go to the unmute, press the unmute. Okay, until you figure that out. Abdullah 105.
Sheikh, regarding the divorce 3 times, is it, counted, the whole life, your life of marriage? For example, if you count it, it's like first divorce, and she comes back. When you divorce second time, does it count?
No.
It's like the counting come back
I
to zero.
understood your question. Let's understand my answer. The question is that this 3 divorce for the whole lifetime. Okay.
Yes.
Once you have divorced her 3 times, and she goes to marry somebody else, a new marriage, and then this husband died or divorced her, she come back to you again, she comes back to you with 3 fresh divorces. Okay?
No, I'm trying to say, sorry, maybe I didn't ask properly. Question what I'm saying is, for example, let's say you divorced her and after 5 years or 10 years, you divorced, I mean, she came back to you after 5 years or 10 years.
It doesn't matter, Akhi. It doesn't matter. So you divorced her today, okay? And
That counts one. That counts one.
it counts one. So and after 20 years, you wanted to marry again. It's still that one with you in your record. It does not go off, not go out. It's not being deleted. Okay?
Ah, it's not deleted.
No. It's only deleted, as I said. That's why I'm not listening to me. It's only to be deleted unless you've made the 3 divorce. The 3 divorce will demolish everything. So she goes back to marry somebody else, that would reset now the counter to 0. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, it was confusing, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
when
divorces will not be resetted, regardless of the time, unless she marries somebody else. But she marries somebody else after the 3rd divorce. Listen to me, please. Don't think about your question, think about my answer. Okay?
Yeah.
So if this woman, she got divorced from her husband, reversible, he divorced her. She passed her iddah, she became a stranger. She married somebody else, and that somebody else divorced her, or he died. He went back to her, to the first husband, and they made a new marriage. She still carries that divorce with her. Still there. So he's going to divorce another one, it will come to the second time. Only this divorce will be resetted if it had reached 3, and then she's married, and then she goes back to the first husband, then she will go fresh count. Okay, please?
Thank you, Sheikh. Shukran.
Jazakallah khairan. Muslima sister now? Sister, you were able to unmute yourself. I could see that. But now, go ahead, sister. On the microphone.
We have questions from
Please, Ahmed, please. Ahmed. Don't intervene, Jazakallah khair. Now.
Assalamu alaikum. If, for example, my father dies today, can I go to his grave and plant a rose bush?
Look, if my father dies today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, after 1 year, 5 years, am I allowed to go and visit the grave of my father? First of all, you're allowed as a woman to visit the graveyard. There's a two opinion. One opinion says no, one opinion says yes. The opinion with no is actually not strong opinion, because I'm not going to go through the proofs, but I will go to the proof which says it is correct. Wherefore, verily, Aisha radiallahu anha, after the death of the Prophet, she went to pay a visit to the grave of her brother. Okay, so that's a visit for her. And also, Aisha radiallahu anha with the Prophet, when she said, "Oh, Messenger of Allah, I got a headache," he said, "What about if you die?" No. Well, this hadith maybe is about to do with washing the deceased. Let me talk maybe another proof. That is, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Ala inni qad nahaytukum an ziyarat al-qubur ala fazuruha." I have forbidden you to visit the graves. Now visit the grave. This includes male and female. What is the proof for those scholars who say that the female are not allowed to visit the grave? It's only a proof which is the strongest one, which is not authentic, and that is in Sunan al-Tirmidhi. لعن الله زوارات القبور. May Allah curse زائرات القبور, the women who visit the graves. This hadith is not authentic. The authentic is zawarat, the one who frequently visit the graveyard. So the woman, she's allowed to visit the graveyard, but not frequently like the man. Why? Because she comes out from her house to the graveyard. So, wife, where are you going? To the graveyard. Tomorrow, where are you going? To the graveyard. That's not correct. Plus, the graveyard becomes now a place for rendezvous now, for men and women to meet one another. And that's not correct. So she's allowed to pay a visit, especially to her father. What you said in the second part of the question is to plant a bush, flower. No. These flowers, all of these things is not from the sunnah. Actually, there is imitation to the kuffar. Now you might say, well, the Prophet of Allah, he passed by 2 graves, and he said that these 2 graves inside, they are being punished, but they're being punished for something which is major, and that is, one of them is to do namimah, that is backbiting, slandering. Second one, he never cleaned himself after urination when he makes his istinja. So he called for the al-khus, which is the palm fronds, you know, the leaves of the palms tree, and he stuck them, okay, into the grave, and he said, this will decrease this punishment onto them as long as they're fresh. Okay. Well, can we use the same thing or use flowers? Well, flowers is out of the question. But can we use the same thing, palm fronds? No. Why? Because number one, the Prophet ﷺ is the one who had heard that these two being punished. We can't hear like the Prophet of Allah. He knew that these two inside the grave are being punished. That's number one. Number two, that is the Prophet of Allah, he is the one who put the palm fronds. And also he said that as long as they're fresh, they will decrease the punishment. No way we find in the Sunnah that the companions started refreshing those palm fronds because they got dried a long time ago. If they understood from the Prophet of Allah that this, I could renew it, so they could remove these two and put another two to keep them fresh all the time, so they will decrease the pain and the punishment of those two, they would have done it. They haven't done it. Number three, we don't see the companions' graves full of these palm fronds. None of them had used that. So it's only for the Prophet who done it for these two special graves. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. So there is no way for you to go and plant flowers onto the grave of your father, let alone that we see some people putting all sorts of things. I have seen with my own eyes a number plate stuck onto the grave. That means the guy who's inside, he had this number, private number plate on his car. I remember it's FHD, Fahd, and the number is 0 or something, 1, Fahd, number 1. Subhanallah. So it's like he's gonna drive inside the grave. He's gonna have a car inside the grave. Or others have been putting fans. You must have seen these fans, paper fans. I don't know whether it's hot inside, have fans like that. Some of them they put as well candles. Muslims I'm talking about. Some of them they bring, you know, a water sprinkler and start putting on the grave. What, we're planting things on top of him or something? Allah al-Musta'an. These people, they just follow other people. They don't read in the Sunnah. What the Prophet of Allah done? What the companions have done? They want to read what Harry Potter has done. Yeah, follow the Quran and the Sunnah. This is the way that we should do it, inshallah. Let's go to the question of the panel. Yeah, Ahmed.
Okay, Sheikh. Jazakumullah khairan. Sister from Aylesbury is asking, when is the last possible moment a husband can take his wife back before the divorce becomes finalized?
When is, again?
Is the last possible moment a husband may take his wife back before the divorce becomes final?
Because, you mean in the iddah period she's talking about. So let's say, for example, you divorced her, okay? And now she's in her iddah period. Is that right, Ahmed? And
I'm not sure, Sheikh, but she's here. I could check with her.
You're asking who's the sister?
Yeah, it's a sister asking, yeah, from Aylesbury.
Okay.
If you could just clarify for you while we take another question, if that's okay. Or
so I will answer this question. If it doesn't really fulfill her answer. So let's say he divorced her and she's in the iddah. When is the last moment for him he's entitled to return her back before this divorce becomes finalized? Khalas, he can't return her. That is when she has the ghusl, after the third menses. So he divorced her and she's on her menses. First cycle, second cycle, third cycle, when she get the third cycle. That third cycle finished after 6-7 days, whatever. Now she's still his wife. When she has the ghusl, the wash, after the third cycle, then when she had the ghusl, khalas, that husband became a stranger. She's out of his house and he's out of her life. Okay, that's finalized. I'd hopefully that this is the answer of the question that she wanted. No.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh. Another sister in Aylesbury is asking, can the iqama be done in a melody like the adhan?
Can the iqama be in the melody? That's from not the sunnah. For the melody, the sunnah, for the adhan to be melody, the iqama is to be in no melody. So Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, like this hadr. It is not Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. That's in the haram. No.
Okay, sister is asking.
I'm saying the haram, that means, you know, in the haram it doesn't mean legal, but I'm just saying Allah al-Musta'an. Fadl.
Sister is saying, the Sheikh used to say the hadith about reading Surah Al-Kahf on the night of Jummah is not authentic, but she's asking, on Monday at Luton, Sheikh said the narration from Darimi is authentic. She just wants to clarify.
I didn't say that. I said,
No, you didn't say that, Sheikh.
Huh?
Yeah, that's true. You didn't say that. I think.
No, I didn't say that. So I said the hadith which was asked is that regarding the likes between this and the Bayt al-Atiq, and I mentioned, and the narration, I'm digesting it because there's a research onto this. It's not really a simple thing, but I said there's some students of knowledge, they're saying Imam Ahmad said it's not authentic, and they're making their study of that. I said, well, keep it to yourself. Sheikh al-Albani is much more knowledgeable than you are. No problem. You do that. But Sheikh al-Albani is more knowledgeable than the hadith than you are. This hadith is authentic, but the non-authentic, I said, which is regarding the addition of the night. In the hadith says during the day. Somebody asked me about Sheikh al-Albani authenticating that. No. Sheikh al-Albani authenticated in Sahih al-Jami', which is during the day. During the day. Now.
Barakallahu fiqh. If a man marries a second wife, can his wife ask him for a khula based on this?
If a man
he's married a second wife, is the wife, his first wife, now allowed to ask him for khula because he married a second wife?
No, he's not allowed for the second wife. It's a good question. For the first wife to ask the khula basically because her husband asked for a second wife. No, unless it is stipulated in the conditions. So when she got married to him, she said, if you got married to a second wife, then I'm entitled to decide my fate. I'm entitled. That means I could ask you for divorce. And if he accepted, then she has the right. And she has got as well the obligation upon him to accept. Now, but as in just like this, a husband marrying another wife, she's saying, I'm going to divorce you. A'udhu billah. This is munafiq, a hypocrite. You see, the women, I understand where they're coming from. They don't want their husbands to be shared with a different heart. They want them to be to themselves. That's understandable, even the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. But they have to understand the same thing, that this is Allah made it allowed, like this. Allah made it allowed to us. So if every husband marries and every one single woman, there will be plenty of women, okay, will be not married. You might say, suit themselves. Or you might say, well, why is it my husband? Somebody else's. Well, somebody else's, okay. What about the other woman? She's gone entitled to say, somebody else, somebody else, somebody else. So those women will be what? Left like this? How are they going to satisfy themselves? So unfortunately, some of the sisters, they enter into full Islam except that little bit, which is, how dare my husband go and marry second wife? Sister, this is Islam. It's the deen. You have entered وَادْخُلُوا فِي السِّلْمِ كَافَّةً. Into the Islam in totality, in its entirety. You can't choose and pick and choose. No, it's not tomatoes or cucumber. You have to take the religion all. Okay? Yes, it's understandable you don't like your husband to be shared. That's understandable. But to prevent him, or to say, I'm going to divorce you, I'm going to threaten you. If you go out of his house, a'udhu billah. What is this? La hawla wa la quwwata. But you can be a clever woman. You could be satisfying your husband, which is very hard. But you could try your best, because the husband's always got more power. Okay? You could try his best. But to make it like this is your day and night and a dream and nightmare and make something out of it, no, sister. Play your cards correctly, inshallah. Fadl.
Okay,
we go to, I think Sister Muslima, she did not put her hand down since I answered the question. So I don't know if she's asking again. Sister, are you asking again, Muslima?
Yes, I have another question.
Okay, can I ask you just to, well, because you're a sister, I'm going to give you, okay, the permission to go ahead, because no sisters asking the question. Fadl.
No, all I want to ask is, are your talks regular? Because often I find out very late, so I miss this one by the first 15 minutes. If I know in advance when they're going to be on, then I can prepare.
Okay. Well, basically, always, if you are, I prepare everybody is listening, there's a Telegram group. If you are in that group, if you are got Telegram, go to that group. There will be a link there, okay, to say to you that there is a class. Now, I should admit that this advertisement for this class came late, but there is a class almost every day. And the time always 8 o'clock, except for the weekend, you might have classes in the 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So classes will start from 6 o'clock onwards, or in weekends. Normal days, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, there will be a lecture. except otherwise. So it's always, there's a lecture there. I admit today there was a late advertisement. It's only about 45 minutes before the class was advertised, because I'm not in my house and I was not really planning to be here in the shop as long as this, but the brothers are really so nice here, mashallah, looking after me. And that's why I stayed here, and I'm gonna head towards home, which is about 74 miles away from me from here, after I finish the class, inshallah. So sister, inshallah, this is my fault, because I did not. Huh?
Can we find all your talks if I missed them on YouTube?
Oh yes, all the talks, all of them, they will be on YouTube. You could just go to that Telegram, as I said. It will be there. There's a link. The brothers, they put there the link. You press that link and it goes to you. As well, you could even make a search here. I don't know if Hassan is here. Hassan is here?
He's not today, Sheikh. He's doing something.
Okay. Right. Ahmad, I don't know. Can you give us a sort of a background about this Telegram that you have? You could just search. You put a word, and you could search through the system about your question.
Yeah. There's some hashtags where you could press on prayer, and then it'll come up with all the lessons on prayer or fiqh or the different books. So if you click on the link I've just shared for Telegram, you'll see that on there, inshallah.
Right. Okay, we go to Faisal.
Sheikh, is it allowed to read or place verses of the Quran into a glass of water and drink it? Did the companions do this?
Okay. There is narrations which is not authentic. Now, the scholars basically are two different opinions. One is says it's allowed, and one says it's not allowed. Okay, we have got from the Sunnah that the Prophet read directly, okay, and he blew on the person, but we don't have a narration from the Prophet that he read on the water and he made the person to drink the water. I'm just really worried that this water is linked to the Christian, what they do as well when they've seen them as well, when they as well make exorcism. Exorcism means to take out the possession of the person. They start, like this holy water onto the person, they sprinkle it on him. I'm just worried that this is being taken from them. But there's an element here which is more dangerous than that. And that is, we know that the Quran affects by itself. So if we start to believe that the water with the Quran makes more effect, that we are actually belittling the power of the Quran. So we're saying that the Quran is not powerful enough unless we treat it on the water, and then this water, okay, give it to the person. As for dissolving ayat in the water, nah. So you're writing water in ayat, that's witchcraft. And then you're dissolving the ayat into the water, and then you're making the person to drink. You might kill him with the ink, Allahu A'lam, or cause him trouble. So that's not correct, inshallah. Now, Jazakallah khair. Fadal ya Muhammad Ali, Canada.
Salamatullah, Sheikhana.
Salam alaikum.
Sheikhana, a question about what we discussed, I think, a couple of days ago about shared scheme.
I can't remember anything you discussed with me a couple of days ago.
Oh, anyway, so it was about the council's program, shared home own program where you can move in, then you can rent. So my question is, are we allowed to do these two contracts in one contract, like lease contract as well as the partnership contract?
Yes, you're allowed, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikhana.
Jazak.
Have a safe drive.
Ayakumullah. Okay, Abdullah.
Sheikh, in the summer in the UK, the Isha gets late sometimes. So is it permissible to combine Maghrib and Isha in the summertime in the UK?
Not in the southern part of the UK, where the Isha comes in maximum 10 past 11. That's not late. 10 past 11 is not late. But if a masjid decided to make a jama'ah combination, a masjid.
هذا وش ندير؟
ها؟
لا
Abdullah.
درت هذيك النهار حبس الخط.
Abdullah, can you mute Abdullah, please? Abdullah, you just unmuted yourself and you were making noise while I'm answering. So you're not paying attention to me.
No, Sheikh, it was somebody else that unmuted themselves.
Oh, Jazakallah khair. I'm sorry, Abdullah, I have really
No problem.
Okay, so I say, basically that the see, I forgot the question now. SubhanAllah, my bad memory. And Muhammad Ali is asking me something 3 days ago.
The Isha prayer in
Okay,
other
the Isha prayer.
the Imam does.
Allah Musta'an. The Isha prayer. So the Isha prayer, we say that if it's a masjid decided to make a combination, no problem. So we go with that because they decided to make a combination, we go. But you as at home, no. Unless you don't take it as a habit. Let's say, for example, the Isha was late and you were exhausted. You were impossible to get up for that Isha. Ask yourself the question. If I've been given I was just giving this answer just about 2 hours ago to a brother here. If I've been given to £1,000 to wake up at 11 for 5 minutes, would I wake up or I wouldn't? If I said I wouldn't wake up, then make a combination with the Maghrib. But if I say, no, I will wake up for the £1,000, well, the prayer is more important. Okay? So don't take it as a habit. It's not a habit. And one off, yes. You could make a commitment because you are in extreme need of that, yes. But to take it every day, make a combination, that's not correct. Our Sheikh Mashur had answered this question verbally to me, and I was listening, and he said, it's not late. Okay, now.
Sheikh, a sister from Brixton last week asked you about the rain prayer, about showing about the cloak. And she's reminding us that she wants to know how to do that and how to put the palms with the dua.
Yeah, well, they have to ask this question when I'm in the house now. I'm not in the house. I don't have a cloak. I don't have anything here.
I'll remind the Sheikh for you.
I've got laptops here, to put laptops here. I've got lots of laptops here in the shop. طيب. Okay, inshallah, let's go to Masood from USA. Last question, please. Yalla ya Masood. Masood. Masood, he can't unmute himself. Okay, I have to then, because it's 22 now and Isha, Maghrib is now kicking in. So subhanak Allah bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilakum. Allah khayran wa barakallahu fikum.